right, good morning, everyone. I was just about to end class, so I'm so glad that you signed in when you did. We'll get started in just one moment. If you are new to class, welcome. This is called Active Yoga Basics. It is a standing sequence and a seated sequence, but we will do a mixture of movement, accessing all the different areas of our bodies. So if you need to skip something or modify or amplify, it's all your practice. So please feel free to do so. And if you have questions, please put them there in the chat and I will check in at the end of class. Okay. Take water break anytime you need to, or just a break in general, right? This is your time. We'll start in just a sec. All right, so thanks again for coming to class. And my name is Kristen. So thank you so much for joining. We are going to start standing. Let's see what this says. Okay, Melanie, thanks. Just jump out if you need to. Sometimes I do go over like a minute, but sometimes I end a minute or two early. So we'll just see how it goes. I'm starting a little bit late today, so I'll try to be aware of the time. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. We'll begin by building mountain pose. So this is going to be the base of basically all of our other yoga postures. And this is a foundation that you can come back to when you're unsure of what sort of alignment you should be feeling into in your body. There's a lot of different talks about alignment in the yoga world. So just think of alignment as how it is going to pertain to your body, because we all have different imbalances, injuries, surgeries, things we've survived, right? Things we're going through currently. So just keep that in mind. When I do something and you go, there's no way I can do that in my body. There is a way. It's just going to be a little bit different. Okay. So building mountain pose, we're going to look down at the feet and separate them about hip width distance. If you're not sure what that means, 2 fists next to each other is a good place to start. And then bend down. And if you can come all the way down to the floor, place your fist in between your 2 big toes. A lot of times we set up our stance too wide. We think of our hip width distance as the exterior when we should be thinking of the interior where the hip points are. So look at your toes, lift them up. See if you can spread them out wide and then place them back down on your mat. Begin to shift your weight to your toes and lift up your heels. We're just going to wake up the legs a little bit. And then bring the heels down, lift up your toes, check in with your balance. And then weight to your toes, lift up your heels. Heels down, lift up your toes, forwards and backwards. Notice what you feel. Begin to engage the thighs. Maybe you can feel the kneecaps lift. Maybe you can feel the shins or your quads engaged. And then if it feels good, add a little stretch from side to side. I personally like to roll to the outer edge with one foot. That is a very nice stretch over the top of my foot. Some people don't feel that way. If you've broken some bones, it could be painful, right? Or if you just have a super tight foot. So just do what's best for you. Bring your weight in towards your big toe mounds, mindful of your knee. Try not to turn it inwards too much. And then to the other side. And then create a little flow that works for you. Forwards, backwards, left to right. That works for me, but sometimes I switch it up. If anything feels weird, just don't do it. All right, so begin to come back to your center and settle. Lift up all your toes again, spread them out a little wider, and place them back down on your mat. Place a little bend in your knees. This should feel like just before you're about to sit down, a little bouncy feeling there, and then pause. Tuck your tailbone under. See if that opens up some space in your lower back. From there, we want to engage the pelvic floor up, belly button in towards your spine. Often this creates a little rounding forward. So then lift your ribs up away and roll them down and back. So if you're just joining us, we're building mountain pose and we're grounding from the feet. We've got a little bend in our knees. It's a little awkward. We're engaging from the core, lifting up from the chest. And then let your arms be heavy. Roll your shoulders up and back a few times. And with grounding down from the feet, engaging up from the core, begin to engage your thighs to straighten your legs. If you are a flexible person, you may hyperextend from the back of your legs when you do this. So I'm going to turn to the side and hopefully you can see. Hyperextension, I'm going to step 1 foot forward so it's a little easier to see. Look at my back leg. Hyperextension is when you go out past where you need to. There's no real stopping point in the back of your knee. So hyperextension over time is going to create an injury. So for you, it might be better to have a little tiny bend in your knee instead. All right, deep breath in. Slow breath out. Let your eyes close. And think of bringing the line of your jaw back just a little bit. Deep breath in, standing a little taller. And a slow breath out, pull your shoulders away from your ears. If it's a part of your practice, palms together, center of your chest, Anjali Mudra. Just take a moment here for either silence. Maybe it's a mantra. Maybe it's a goal you have in mind. It doesn't have to be anything, but it could be totally full of meaning for you if that is helpful for you in your practice. Take a deep breath in. And a slow breath out. Opening up your eyes, interlace your fingers and place them underneath your chin. If you've never done this breathing exercise before, just take a second to watch. It can be really involved and kind of confusing in the beginning. And you want to keep your knuckles with your chin the whole time. Look up towards your ceiling, create a loud ha sound and elbows touch when breathless, like this. With your inhale, level your chin, lifting up your elbows. Exhale, head back, squeezing the elbows in until breathless. Inhale, level your chin, lift up your elbows. Exhale, head back, elbows squeeze. Use your core now. Inhale, lifting the elbows, keep your shoulders down. Exhale, head back. 2 more. Inhale. This time, try to take in an extra sip at the top. Maybe the elbows lift a little higher. Exhale, head back. Last one, slow it down if you can. Extra sip at the top, hold it in. Exhale, head back. And release your arms down by your sides. Shake it out if that feels good to you. And then come back to your mountain pose. Inhale, reach your arms up overhead. Interlace your fingers, release your index fingers and cross your thumbs. I'm doing this with my arms a little bent here just to show you in the frame. When I straighten my arms, I'll probably lose you in the frame. I'm tall. So then heel toe your feet towards each other. If this creates pain in your lower back, go back to separating your feet. And then think of all those principles of mountain pose, grounding from the feet, pulling in and up from the core, and then find a little stretch from side to side. So if it's just not comfortable to have the arms up overhead, maybe it messes with your blood pressure, no problem. Just have the hands closer to the body. And there's tons of options. You can even do one arm at a time, right? Still feels great to do one arm at a time instead of both. So we're just stretching between the ribs and the hips. And if it feels okay in your body, keep your core engaged and just begin to flex a little forwards and backwards. Just a little stretch from the front line of the body to the back line. And if this feels okay, you can add some circles around your waist. Remember, those hands can be close to your body. And then come back to your center. So if your feet are together, make sure your big toes touch. Inhale, lengthen up from your chest. With your exhale, stretch up and over to your right. All right, so we're grounding down from the feet. Think of the big toes and the outer edges of the heels. Little toes and the inner edges of your heels. Engage the thighs and glutes to help support you. Pull in and up from the core and draw your shoulders down. If you have that grip with your palms, try to squeeze them a little more. Maybe you can bring the arms back. Inhale, find a reach upwards. Exhale and take it a little over without popping out your hip. You want the hip to stay in place. From your core, inhale back up to your center, reaching up. When you're ready, exhale to your left, stretching between the ribs and the hips on the right side. If you're super tight, you might feel this all the way down to your feet. So we're grounding from the feet to reach up. We're pulling in and up from the core to lift up the chest. And maybe on our exhales, we reach a little bit further. From your core, from your feet, inhale back up. Exhale back to your mountain pose, arms by your sides. All right, so we're going to move into just a little tiny baby back bend. If we have back sensitivity, which I do, you might use something like a pillow or a block in between your thighs or in between your feet. And this is going to help you create some resistance because you're squeezing that thing and that engages those muscles to lift up And that helps you stay up out of crunching into your lower back. So if we have some, degenerative disc disease stuff going on like that, especially in the lower back, blocks in between the thighs can be super helpful here. All right, so we're going to take the hands with the palms facing forward, place them at the lower back and draw the elbows in. From your feet, engage your core. Inhale, lift up your chest. With your exhale, you might stay here. This could be enough. Or shift your hips a little bit forward. Keep lifting up. Think about where your belly button is and try to lift up from there so it rolls your shoulders back. Elbows in. Pull in your belly button to your spine. Check in with where your weight is between your toes and your heels. Inhale, back up. Exhale, mountain pose. All right, if you're using that block, just move it back. Maybe you already have them set up at the top of your mat. We'll use them there in a moment. Inhale, reach your arms up overhead. Exhale, forward fold, however you got to get there. Take your time. If you really need some help today, no problem. Use your hands down your legs. That can be really good if we have back stuff going on. So separate the feet back to hip width distance. Let your head be heavy. And grab for opposite elbows, ragdoll. Just let the lower body spill forward. I'll turn to the side now. Keep that little micro bend in your knees. Keep a huge bend in your knees if you have to, right? And then maybe you rock a little forwards and backwards or left to right. If it's hard for you to let your head be heavy, that can be hard for me sometimes. So think of tucking your chin instead and letting your shoulders fall forward. And if it feels okay to add a shoulder opener, hands towards your lower back, interlacing your fingers. And as it's available to you, arms up and overhead. So shoulders fall forward as it's available to you. Keep tucking the chin or just let your head be heavy. And then shift your weight towards your toes here just at the end. See if you can spin your thighs inwards to help you lift your hips a little bit higher. Deep breath in. With your exhale, release your hands down to something. This could be your blocks. This could be the floor. And then lower your hips towards your heels. However, if your knees, your ankles say no way, just come back to your fold. We'll be back there in a second. So shoulders back, elbows in, tucking your chin, just in a little rounded shape, right? Round yourself the best you can. We don't round much in yoga, so this is a nice opportunity. And then look forward, keeping your shoulders back, lift and lower your heels. This can be painful if we're not used to it, if we don't have flexibility in the feet. So go slow, just do it what's available to you. And if this really feels like cement, you might try a tennis ball under your foot or a golf ball. All right, so come back to your forward fold. Feet are hip width distance still. Take one of your blocks and bring it towards you, in between the feet, but a little bit forward so that when you place your right hand down on top of the block, which could be different levels, keep that in mind, that your elbow to your wrist are lined up. And you can always have a micro bend in the elbow, but try to stay firmly placed back into the shoulder blade. So bend both knees, bend your right knee more, engage your core with your inhale, reach your left arm up. And then think of pressing the left hip back away from the rib cage. The ribs are here, hip is here. Press your hip away from your ribs. Left arm reaches up. Fingers are on purpose, not just hanging out. And then if you like to open up a little more, flip your palm away, bend at your elbow and open up a little bit more from the chest. Maybe you look up. Deep breath in. Slow breath out. Inhale, left arm reaches back up. Exhale, forward fold. Just hang out there for a moment. Let it go. Shake it out whenever you need. And then to the other side. So left arm grounds. Weights towards the toes and check in from the wrist to the shoulder that you're pretty lined up. Bend those knees. Bend your left knee more. Inhale to twist. Right arm reaches up. So if you draw the shoulder blades in, almost like you're pinching them in towards each other, that presses your chest forward, and then you can twist a little bit more. Right hip presses away from the ribs, and maybe you work into your half bind. Check in with your toes. You might lean to the outer edges of your feet here. Press into the big toes instead. Inhale, right arm reaches up. Exhale, back to your fold. Move your block towards the top of your mat, excuse me, and then grab onto your legs or your feet wherever you can. So that could be your hands behind the back of your calves, hands under the sides of your feet. That could be peace fingers around your big toes. Take your shoulders and slide them away from your ears. Inhale to lift up your chest. Exhale and fold, pulling your upper body down. Tuck your chin if it's hard for you to let your head be heavy. Shift your weight towards your toes. Slide your shoulders back. Your elbows are in towards your legs. Deep breath in. Slow breath out. Hands to your shins. With your inhale, lift up halfway. Make sure both blocks are set up towards the top of your mat. Walk forward if you need to. I almost always have to walk forward. So stay for your next breath in. With your exhale, bend your knees, pick up your right foot, point your toes straight back, and then send your right foot back into a lunge. Slide your left foot forward if you need to, and then lower your right knee down. So if we have some knee pain, a blanket or a small pillow under the right knee or the top of your foot, if that's where there's discomfort, flip those blocks up, sit up tall, check in with your left knee. Make sure that your left knee is lined up with the back of your left heel. Not forward. There are styles of yoga where they teach that. I'm not going to say that that's wrong. That's just not how we're doing it in this class. We're stabilizing. So we need to keep the joints lined up. And if we need to be more therapeutic, we keep the knee behind the ankle. So deep breath in, lifting your chest. Exhale to a half split. It's not as scary as it sounds. Take your blocks with you. Keep lifting up from your chest. Take a look at your left foot and make sure your toes are pointing pretty straight up. If you walk with your feet out, you'll notice that in a lot of your lunges, your feet are going to try to do the same thing here. So take a moment for nerve glides, point your toes away from your body. And then flex your foot, draw your toes back, point your toes away, and then pull the toes back multiple times, pointing and flexing. And flex your foot. Inhale back to your lunge. Feel your right hip press forward and then maybe it slides down just a little bit. Deep breath in. Exhale to your half splits. Take the blocks with you wherever you go, right? Check in with your hips. It's easy to have the hips out of alignment here, not squared. Inhale to your lunge. Exhale to your half splits. So if you feel pretty good here, you'd like to add some depth. Shoulders back, elbows in, lift up from your chest, and then hinge forward without really changing anything in your body. You just hinge forward from the torso. The back stays the same. You're not rounding. You have a flat back, hopefully. Pull the line of your jaw in. Inhale back to your lunge. Tuck your toes under. Squeeze your right thigh. Lift up your knee. Look forward. And then hover your right knee down so you feel that little bouncy feeling. Then with your inhale, lift up your right leg. Flex your foot like you're holding it up. Exhale to your forward fold. Let your head, let your hands be heavy. Inhale, lift up halfway. Shoulders back. Exhale, bend your knees, pick up your left foot, point your toes straight back. That's an important piece here to squeeze the glute, squeeze the heel up, and then step it back into your lunge. Lower your left knee down. So adjust for whatever you need to on this side. I have different adjustments for the first side than I do for this side. So left hip is forward and down. Right heel with the right knee, or the knee stays behind your ankle. Deep breath in, lifting your chest. Exhale, half splits, flex your right foot. Take your blocks with you. Make sure you're not just hanging on to the left side and leaning into it, but the hips are squared and the weight is balanced. And then move through your nerve glides, pointing and flexing. All right, so flex your foot, engage your core. Inhale to your lunge. Left hip is forward and down. On your next exhale, shift back to your half splits, flexing the right foot, and just hold it there. You could, of course, have a bend in your knee anytime you need to. Inhale to your lunge. Exhale, half splits. We'll hold it here and add our hinge forward only if it feels safe to do so in your body. If your knees are talking to you, there's no need to add any stress to them. So elbows in, strong through the spine and your core, belly button in. Where's your chin? You might have to pull it back. Inhale to your lunge. Tuck your back toes, lift your knee up off your mat. Look a little forward, then hover your left knee down. Inhale, lift up your left leg, flex your foot. Exhale, forward fold. Take a moment to hang heavy. Hands on your shins. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, forward fold. Slowly roll up to standing. Alrighty, so we'll take a step out to the left today for our warrior series. And so that means that I'm going to be starting at the top right side of my mat with a step out to the left. So if you're going the opposite direction, it's no problem. Just keep track of your left and right, okay? And you want to have a block close to the center of your mat for when we move into our wide leg forward fold. With your inhale, reach the arms up overhead. With your exhale, a big kick out from the left leg. Use those muscles and step out to the left. Arms out to a T shape. If this feels not okay in your shoulders, hands to your hips, hands to heart center, right? You could probably put your hands somewhere else and just do what's best for you. If your arms are out, it feels okay. It's little circles, little tiny circles. You're using the biceps to draw in and up, and you're drawing the shoulders down, lifting up your chest. If your hands are at your hips, you're lifting up the shoulders a little bit differently and rolling them back. All right, then we'll hold it there. Lift up from the chest, engage your core, engage your thighs. With your exhale, hinge forward. See if you can use your core to hinge forward. If not, hands to your hips to help out. And then hands to the floor or hands to a block or two and begin to stretch a little bit left and right. Feel the inner thighs, bending the knees move in the direction of your toes. And if it's available, you just move deeper into that stretch. All right, so don't expect a big split or anything. If you're not used to it, go very slow. And then come back to your center, turning your toes inwards just a little bit to give you space in your lower back. Take that block out in front of you a little bit further so that when you lean forward, you know what I'm going to say. Your wrist, elbow, shoulder, all line up. Flat through the palm or pop up to your fingertips. Inhale to twist, left arm up. Weights towards your toes. Spin your thighs inwards. Right shoulder under, reaching up from the left. Now, just like in our other twist, shoulder blades in to press the chest forward and then spin with that space you created. Deep breath in. Exhale, back to your fold. Left hand down, shift your weight forward from your core. Inhale to twist, right arm up. So weight is towards your toes. Check in with your thighs, spin them inwards. It's so easy to lose that. Left shoulder under, right shoulder in, chest presses forward. Deep breath in, exhaling to twist. Keep your shoulder away from your ear. One more breath in. Exhale, back to your fold. Inhale, lift up halfway. You can take your hands out to your T shape or hands to your hips to be a little more secure. Inhale up, arms reach up overhead. We'll bend the right knee, bend your right knee, right foot steps over to the left. Arms by your sides, mountain pose. Deep breath in, slow breath out. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, step out to your right. Remember, kick it out on purpose. Arms out to a T shape. I'll warn you, I forgot to take my socks off here, so this could get a little slippery for me. Heads up for you if you're in socks too. So right foot out to the right, left foot turns in a little bit, and then widen your stance as you bend and straighten your right leg. Bend and straighten the right leg. Make sure everything feels okay between the different joints, and then settle. Track the right knee open towards the pinky toe. And just like in our first lunge, the right knee lines up with the ankle or stays behind it. And you know your options for your arms, right? They're consistent with all these shapes. Left leg is engaged from the glute, the thigh, kick down all the way into the floor. Feel the outer edge of your left foot press down. Deep breath in. Slow breath out. Vision can be off the middle finger of your right hand. And then reach forward, flip your palm, inhale to reverse, right arm up, left arm down. Maybe you work into a half bind, especially if you have a tendency to hang on to your knee. So we sit a little deeper into the lunge without passing the ankle. Reach back, breathing in. Exhale to your warrior two. Straighten your right leg, pivot your right toes in, left toes out. Bend and straighten a few times. And then settle. So we press down from the left foot and then we draw the left heel. We want to feel it pull back without moving it. Grounding down from the outer edge of the right foot. Left knee tracks open. Right thigh is engaged. When you become more comfortable here, you can slide the right foot back and sit deeper into this shape. Reach forward, flip your left palm, inhale to reverse, left arm up and over, palm faces down. Maybe there's a half bind. Squeeze the thighs, lift up from the core, deep breath in. Exhale, warrior two. Straighten your left leg, pivot your toes, shorten your stance a little bit. Arms up overhead, bend your left knee, left foot kicks over to the right. Exhale back to your mountain pose. Deep breath in. Slow breath out. You know to have water anytime you need to. Take a break anytime you need to. We have one more standing posture today, and then we'll lower down to the floor. So a shortened standing sequence today. Pressing the left foot down. Lift your right heel. Take your knee out to the right, and then slide your heel up your calf, or bypass your knee and bring your heel up towards the inner thigh. If that's not working for you at all, just keep your foot on the floor and work to lift up the heel, and over time, bring the heel up a little bit more, or place the heel on a block. One or both hands to heart center, or your hips, or arms overhead. There's no such thing as a wrong tree. Lifting up from the chest, ground down from the left foot. Try not to crunch your toes. Squeeze the left thigh and glute. Shoulders down to lift your chest. And then just see what's available to you. Deep breath in. Slow breath out. When you're ready, lower your right foot down. Take a moment to settle. I like to stretch my left foot after that. And when you're ready, move into the other side. So right foot grounds, left heel lifts. Knee out to the left. We have that hip opener first, and then we add the balance piece. One or both hands to heart center. You can even have a hand on the wall behind you, or turn to the side. Maybe not a glass wall like this. Maybe it's more like, a regular wall, so that you don't break with the glass if you lose your balance. You see what I'm saying, right? So take your time finding the tree that works best for you. We squeeze the right thigh into the left foot. Track the left knee open, lifting up from the chest. Maybe you look up. Deep breath in. Slow breath out. And begin to move back to your mountain pose. Inhale, arms reach up, look up if you like. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lift up halfway. With your exhale, squat and curl. We've done this before. Inhale, looking forward. And with your exhale, reach your arms forward. See if you can get your heels to touch down. And then maybe your butt touches down. If you rolled all the way back, just stay there. We'll be with you in a minute. Take your feet towards the edge of your mat. A block in between your knees. Press down from the big toes. That's really important. That engages the inner thighs, strangely enough. Reach the fingers forward. Lift up your chest. Breathe in. With your exhale, lower back. If you need more support, lowering back, maybe you go to the side and lower back. And then pull the knees into your chest. Give yourself a little squeeze. Flex both feet. If you have to pick up your head to get this squeeze, you might put something under your head. Or you might use something around your arms to make your arms longer, like a strap or a scarf. Or you might take your hands behind your thighs instead of in front of the shins. What you want to look for here is keeping the shoulders down, tucking your chin, and keeping that stabilization in your spine. Flexing both feet, use your inhale and let your belly lift up towards your legs. On your exhale, pull your knees in towards your chest, shoulders down, flex your feet. Inhale, belly lifts. Exhale, pull your knees in, press your tailbone down. Last one on your own. And engage your core, kick your heels up towards your ceiling, flexing your feet. Make sure that you check in that your heels and the back of your hips are lined up. A lot of times we tilt the toes a little too far forward. Reach the fingertips towards your toes. Lift your head and shoulders off your mat. Keep that core engaged and pulse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. On one, lift up and hold. Take both palms together. If you can, reach a little over to the right. Hold it here or pulse. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. On a one, lift up and hold. Strong from the legs. Reach over to the left. Hold here or pulse. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lift up and hold. Back to your center. Kick up from the heels. Lift 1 more inch. Breathe in. Exhale, let it go. So give yourself a hug. And then send your legs long. Reach your arms overhead. Move your head a little side to side. If that felt like it gave you tension in your neck, core work can certainly create tension in other places. So good to stretch out afterwards. Pull the knees back in, grounding from the feet. Lift your tailbone up, tuck it under, and bring it back down. Not even going to call that a bridge. I'm just going to call that realigning your spine real quick. So send your left leg up, cross it over your right, lift your right leg up, flex both feet. Hands behind the back of your right thigh. Again, use that strap, scarf, or take a different grip, right? No big deal. Keep the head and shoulders down. Deep breath in. Slow breath out. Inhale, pull your right leg in. Exhale and press your left thigh away just a little bit. Maybe you can use your elbow to help with that. Inhale, right leg in. Exhale, left leg away. Take a few breaths here on your own. Before you release out of this posture, see if you can soften your glute, soften your thigh. Bring your right foot down and uncross your legs. Send your right leg up, cross it over your left, lift your left leg up. So same thing, different side. You might feel totally different from one side to the other. Find the grip that works best for you. Try to keep those hips square. I'm tighter on this side, so I have to really unpretzel myself a little bit. Flexing both feet, inhale, left leg in. Exhale, gently press the right leg away. And it would be like the tiniest little bit of pressure. Inhale, left leg in. Exhale, right leg away. Shoulders down. On your own, find space through your inhale. Move into that space on your exhale. Before you move out of this shape, just try to soften the right thigh and glute a little bit. Bring your left foot down, uncross your legs. We'll let the soles of the feet touch, knees fall open. This is a posture that is often divided between people. If you have lower back issues, you may not want to be in this posture like this. You would want to use more support, or if there's just general tightness, right? Lower back could be tight, hamstrings could be tight. Use things like pillows and blocks underneath these parts of your body that need support. You can also place the support underneath the feet, and sometimes just lifting up the feet changes the flexibility in the shape. If you feel any pulling in the inner thighs or the knees, you need support in this shape. The arms can relax by your sides, or you might like to add a little weight by placing the hands on the thighs. Sometimes tuning into the breath, placing one hand or maybe both hands on your chest or your belly. And then press into your feet. Tuck your tailbone just a little bit and slowly draw those knees in towards you. Then from there, if you have something under your feet, move it out of the way. We'll take a little twist and settle into our final shape. So extend your left leg long, draw your right knee in, give it a little squeeze. Place your right foot down, slide your hips to the right, and then let your right leg track across your body into your twist. When you're in your twist, try not to be crunchy into the hip. It's easy to bring the hip up and over. That's kind of what we're used to. So press the hip down and over instead. It might take away from your twist because you're twisting differently. If you reach the right arm out, just make sure that your shoulder is touching the ground. If your shoulder is not touching the ground, take less of a twist through the lower body. And if you come to restorative on Friday, you get tons of options on how to support yourself in that shape. It's just way too much to go through in an active class. So support is key wherever you need it, but we get into detail in the other class. Deep breath in, slow breath out. Engage your core, roll back to your center, slide your hips back. And when you slide your hips back, you're hoping that your shoulders and your hips line up. Then extend your right leg, left knee draws in, a little squeeze. Left foot down, slide your hips over and take your twist. So check in, where did you twist? Did you twist into your rib cage or away from your body? Engage your core, roll back to your center, slide your hips back in, draw your knees in, give yourself a hug. Feel free to lift your head up if you like full compression here. And then when you're ready, settle into your final shape. There's many different ways to be in Shavasana. So traditionally, legs are long, toes are out, heels are in, and the palms follow that. So the shoulder blades are down, palms face up and out just a little bit. If any of this is uncomfortable, it's not necessary. Something like a bolster under the knees, a pillow under your head can make those postures so much more enjoyable for you so that you actually get the benefits of the shape. So if you're fighting the shape, you're not going to get the benefits. So support yourself how the best you can. And, you could do legs up the wall for this shape. You could go back to your hip opener. You can make this your own shape. We will officially end class at our seats if it suits your schedule in a couple of minutes. If you have to go, I totally understand. And thanks for joining me. Hope to see you soon. Otherwise, I'll be quiet for a little bit and then we'll move up to our seats. Think of relaxing your jaw, creating some space between your eyes. Heavy from the shoulders, the hips, all the way down to your toes. Deep breath in. Slow breath out. You are always welcome to take a much longer Shavasana, and if your time allows, please do. Otherwise, point your toes away from your body. Maybe you turn those toes inwards. Reach the arms overhead. Just a full body stretch. When you're ready, come up to your seat. So sitting in a way that's comfortable for you. The way I sit is not the most comfortable for everyone. I've just been sitting this way for most of my life. So lift up your chest and place your hands on the top of your knees. We'll take 3 energizing breaths to bring some energy, some prana back into our day. Inhale, let your belly expand. Through your nose, forcefully exhale. You really feel it in your throat. Inhale through your nose. Through your nose, exhale. Last one. If it's a part of your practice, palms together, center of your chest. Breathing normally, inhale, lift up your chest. Exhale, relax your shoulders. Thank your mind and your body for what it's been capable of today. Remember, things can change anytime for better or worse, so we just try to focus on where we are now, one step, one breath at a time. So thank you so much for joining me, and you call this yoga. Namaste.